Good morning. It's Thursday, and this is Unit 109 for the IQI Academy for Leadership Fundamentals. We're almost done with Unit 1. When you add up the time, well, Megan, when we add up the time that we spent together, it's still less than a full day. So it's as if we've had a one-day seminar spread out across 2 weeks. So our total time together by the time we're done tomorrow is still less than 8 hours. So Unit 1, even though it seems like a long time, all your work is really, all the Academy is taking place almost beyond our session. And I see we're making a lot of good progress here. I appreciate the work you're doing and the submissions you're making. I'm learning some things from the things you're submitting. Beginning yesterday, I started putting all my notes into and feedback into the LMS. So if there's assignments that you might want to check that, once or twice, have a time during the day where you're checking that. Morning, Danny. So I don't think there's anything urgent right now. However, there are some comments that would be useful for you to look at and then ask me about. Denise, there might be some things you want to ask me about. I made some comments that are kind of beyond the scope of what we talked about during class so far. And so whenever I bring up something in your feedback that is not familiar, please let me know and we can have a conversation about that, either via email or through office hours.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I was trying to look while you mentioned it, but I was struggling to get in the grade book. And now you can see me, but I can't see you. So I don't know what I did to my computer. So I'll keep working on it. I don't usually use this laptop, but I know you like camera. So that's why I have to go. I don't have camera on my desktop. So.
Oh, I got it. Sometimes if you press down the Windows key and then tab, you can see all the screens that are available to you.
Yeah, I just somehow got some Google ad that won't let me close, but that's okay. I'll keep working on it.
Don't you love that stuff? All right. The date was correct, but we only need one partner, and that partner should be in the room with you. This will be a session, Denise, that you will actually want to run when you get back. So you'll want to schedule a partner outside of our class. In fact, I could help facilitate that for you if you want to schedule something. But we'll talk about that when you return, because this exercise that we're running actually fits very well with the things that are showing up in your answers to question number 2. Having some version of clean definitions of our terms are useful, and this exercise helps us address that. Again, an adult, they don't need experience. They just need to be in the same room, because you're actually sharing some things. You're trading some documents back and forth. So writing and counting, simple counting will be necessary. Heidi, you sent me person's name and you verified your shipping address. It's a good thing, because in one of my records I had your shipping address incorrect. So thank you very much for making sure that I have the correct address to send things to you. Again, so everybody, please today find someone that you can schedule for that date and then send me a verification of where to send materials. Email. So here's where we're at. We have yesterday we were turning in our teach to learn conversations. These are good. I appreciate the thought you're putting into these and the comments that you're making about what's going on as you teach or as you think about what you're teaching. And then the system activity notes. These are very important. There's some things. There's a couple you might have some feedback for me on either updating it or maybe some comments on a couple items. And then of course your PDSA cycle, name the file name with the cycle name. You're naming, it looks like people are naming the cycle in the form, but when you save the file, also please record the file name with a 2-digit number, because that sorts correctly then. And then of course your 3 basic questions. Also, just all you need to do is update the date. That gives us the current version to be looking at. We don't need to put anything else on there besides your name and the current date. And then we know which item is the recent one when I'm looking at your files. Today we're going to continue work with our off-limits words if there's any work to continue. You'll be updating your 3 basic questions and updating your PSA plan. So here's a question for you. In your teach to learn conversations, who is the learner?
We both are.
Other thoughts?
When I did my mind mapping teach to learn, I was the learner all the way, because with a coworker I was talking to, I was trying to explain this concept to her, and she actually had a lot of experience in that, and she was telling me different ways to do it and different ways to link words, and it was really, really interesting and really enlightening, all of the insight that she had on it. So
I got it. Any other thoughts? Megan or Denise?
I still can't see you, so anyway, I agree with whoever said it the first time that we both learn. You learn about yourself as you're teaching, and of course, you're trying to educate the person on the concept. I think in one of mine, where it was the plan, do, study, act cycles, I said the same thing because I had talked to somebody who's done a lot of performance improvement projects here that uses the plan, do, study, act concept much more frequently than I do.
Yeah. Megan, your thoughts?
I kind of feel like you are the learner, and so the person that you're teaching, because they can also bring insight that you may not see as you're trying to explain.
Yeah. So when we design teach to learn as a assignment, what we look for is the elements of learning that teaching helps us integrate. So we're elaborating about a concept, we're retrieving it from our memory, and then we're practicing sometimes the concepts that we're doing. So what we're looking at is we are the primary learner. And of course, the other person, it's almost secondary that the person we're working with might learn something. The intent, however, is that as we perform our teach to learns, that we focus on what is it we're learning as we're teaching. So one of the primary things that shows up here is we can help identify where we have gaps in our knowledge. As we're trying to teach somebody, sometimes we realize, oh, I don't really understand that well enough to explain it as I'd like to. That means I need to go back and look at something. So it gives us an opportunity to actually expose where we've got gaps in our knowledge, or we think we remembered something, but we don't have the ability to actually explain it well. So there's an illusion of explanatory depth that shows up when you just watch something or listen to something. So we think we could explain it, but it doesn't show up that way. So that's another aspect of what we're gaining out of our teach to learn conversation. So Denise, can you see us now? It looked like you logged off and logged back in.
I think that this laptop just isn't like having multiple things open. It's not, like I said, it's kind of a use of desperation, not something. So it just probably doesn't have enough memory RAM, whatever it needs for me to try to look at LMS while I look at.
I got it.
Guys, I just didn't want to reopen Zoom for anything.
Okay.
Even though I can see the icon there.
All right. Well, thanks for doing that and fixing that situation. So today we're going to continue our off-limits words review. One of the interesting things that always shows up in these reviews is that as you work on your word list, I end up adding words to our off-limits words. I realize that, oh yeah, you guys are using some words that probably shouldn't be used, as far as they're not defined well enough. In fact, there was one that showed up, I think Denise used it, clean was the word that showed up.
I expected you to say that, but I just was had corrected enough, and I was like, defining clean is really subjective. I don't know. I'll have to put some thought into that.
Yeah, in fact, there's in another course I use Deming's example. Deming used the example of, hey, when I say clean that table, what the thing you're looking for is what's the purpose of cleaning? So if my purpose is to wipe off the table so that kids can eat their cafeteria lunch, that's much different than I need to clean that table because they're going to perform surgery on it. So there's with cleaning the table, I might just use a wet cloth and wipe. Or what I might be doing is have a specific procedure of 10, 11 steps, specific cleaning materials, cleaning products that are applied in a certain sequence that are required for us to actually do the cleaning. So there's that example showed up as I'm surprised it wasn't on the list already. So thank you for doing that. It actually said, you know what? There's an example that came straight from Dr. Deming that we should be using. I'm not sure. Does that make sense, Denise? It's like,
I think I should just try to make my moves smaller because I'm talking about a 1,200 square foot space that needs to be cleaned. So it wouldn't be just wiping a table. So to try to define what that means is a little bit extreme. So my next move, I'll try to make it a smaller move so it's easier to define.
Right. I wasn't saying that cleaning the table is what you're describing. I'm just saying
No,
I
understand that. But to take the time to say everything that needs to be done is not, fathomable within because I spend about 2 hours on this a day, so to try to, I think I just need to make smaller moves.
Yeah. Now, in the world of that kind of work, there's usually standard work that there's a sequence of work. There's a flow. Here's the steps I follow. Here's the next one. So developing a set of standard work, small elements for these are the things I might be cleaning. And then here's the sequence of all those different cleaning operations. So you might say some version of that. So again, everybody has partners that they're doing the off limits words review. Is that correct? Or Danny, are you missing a partner?
I don't have a partner for that yet. No.
I got it. Anybody who was working with Joe?
Joe, I think Joe, Megan, and I were all in the same group. I did Megan's. I didn't hear from Joe, but her server sent it back. And so I'm not sure if she got a message saying somebody was trying to send something, but I did just the suggestions and it was sent back to me. The email was rejected. So
That's weird. I didn't get anything. I only got something from Joe.
Okay.
And I didn't get anything from you or in return from Joe on the review on that.
Well, that's an interesting situation. Sometimes some emails look like they're some version of spam and you need to have your firewall adjusted. But I would think between facilities, you should be able to email each other back and forth. So
yeah, it just said undeliverable, and it said Oakview suspects your message is spam and rejected it.
So in that case, there'd be a request to the IT department to make that message be seen as a safe sender. So put it on your whitelist would be the thing to request. Let IT know you've got messages that are bouncing that shouldn't bounce. Then Danny needs a partner. Does anybody want to volunteer to work with Danny on off limits words?
I will.
Okay. Maybe your messages won't bounce with Danny.
Well, I was kind of thinking maybe I can be of help this time.
Yeah. So, Danny, you have the list right from our materials.
Yes.
These are items that should not be used because there's a lack of clarity, and you look for them in especially your question number 2 responses. How do we know a change is improvement? And then also in your plan, your predictions. Are we making predictions that use these words? We want to avoid those words. Okay. So you'll be working with Rayanne So you guys can exchange your 3 basic questions and documents. Now, Megan, does that mean that you don't have any feedback from anybody? Is that?
Correct.
So Rayanne, if you want to send me the feedback you gave to Megan, I'll forward it. Megan's been getting my emails, correct, Megan?
Yep.
Yeah. So do that, and then I'll be like a go-between for that one particular message.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Ariane.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Clean didn't get on this list. So here's our off-limits word. So then that's it for today. I want you to wrap that up. And then if there's other work that that you have not yet submitted, go through the assignments for the last several days. I want to show you something as we get towards tomorrow. So today's assignment is, working on your teach to learns. There's kind of like an extra teach to learn that you could have run this week. That would be the day that the 14 points conversation was due. You might do a teach to learn on that if you skip the topic that day and use the teach to learn, go back to that day's topic. Your system activity notes, make sure those are complete. And then, of course, our off-limits words review or application is applying those words selections to our PDSA plan and our 3 basic questions. And then I'm going to show you these things, the quotes, and then I'll show you the feedback form that we use at the end of each unit. And I want to give you a heads up on what you'll be receiving and asking to fill out. So Maria Konnikova, in the book, The Biggest Bluff, this is actually a very good book. She took on playing championship level poker without ever even knowing how to play poker. And she did an excellent job. But she wanted to figure out how people think and learn and predict in an environment where outcomes are not necessarily count-onable. There's an element of luck in the results. And one of the things that she expressed in this book is our brains, it turns out, are veritable prediction machines. We are constantly making sense of the environment and making guesses about what will happen. It's called predictive processing. We actively think one step ahead and look at the environment accordingly. So we're thinking ahead, and then we're examining the environment with what we think should be there. So there's a preconception going on that we don't even realize that we're filtering the world through our preconceptions. Our brains are more proactive than reactive. Whether our predictions are accurate or not, of course, depends on the inputs and the prediction-making process. Whether they improve in accuracy or not over time depends on our capacity and willingness to learn. And then we have from Leonardo da Vinci, I've been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Being willing is not enough, we must do. Here we go. I'm building a form. Let's see, we have this form. It's not quite yet, it's not quite out in the materials, but it will be later on today. Every one of our units finishes with these same 4 questions. Let me blow this up a little bit. You'll be asked, of course, just to put your name in there and save it with not this. Like I said, I'm formatting this. It'll have a different file name to save it, but it's basically feedback. Question number 1 is, after reviewing my course materials, completed course assignments, and my updated mind map, these are the things I've learned or am learning about. And so just list the things that you've learned throughout the first 10 sessions. Then either put a check mark or an X. I think in this form, you're going to have to use an X because I don't have check marked lines for this. So put an X next to things that you learned that you want to or did apply to your project. So not only is there's 2 separate things going on here. Here's the things I learned throughout the 10 sessions, and then here's the things I actually want to apply or did apply to my project. And then what do I want to learn more about, and how do you intend to do that? So this is a question about, there's a topic that intrigued me. I want to dig into that further. Here's the thing I think I'll do to do that. Okay. And then what was covered that remains unclear? it's okay to put anything you want in this, even though it has this caveat. Don't worry too much about what it says here, but what was covered that remains unclear? I want to know that the concepts that we're talking about have been communicated. If they're not, then I want to make sure that I have a conversation either with everybody saying, hey, you know what, I goofed up on this, I wasn't clear enough, or I can have a conversation with you and support you in clarifying something that you didn't understand. But there's a good chance that if there's some lack of clarity for you, there's a lack of clarity for others. So don't be shy about putting something in here that says, you know what, I need to dig into this further, or I need a different example or some version of that. And then the last one is, it makes a request. Before responding to this last item, review each of your Teach to Learn conversation notes. And just for a prompt, I put the list of daily topics that we have here for your Teach to Learn conversations. Every unit, at the end of each unit, will have a similar list. Of course, it'll be a different list, but you'll see the same kind of list with that. I'd like you to share your experiences and thoughts about the most memorable conversations. So it's plural, you don't have to pick just one. You held during this unit of the IQI Academy. What questions do you have about this feedback form? Any? Seems pretty straightforward. On Friday, every day there's a due date time that says 6 p.m. As we wrap up the assignments for the week and for the unit, I put that as Saturday 6 p.m. So you don't have to have everything done Friday night as far as hitting any particular deadline. So you'll be turning in, making sure your assignments are complete for the unit. You'll also be sending me a photo of some sort of your mind map, and then obviously returning this form. It will be available tomorrow with that. So I think that's the basic list of things that show up as here's what we turn in on Friday as we complete our unit. Of course, there's one more thing. You should have at least one completed PDSA cycle. Some of you might be into your second PDSA cycle. So whatever your current PDSA cycle is, that's also gets submitted as well. And then looking forward, we begin each unit with a brand new refresh on our 3 basic questions. Like Denise, you did something perfect in your response to dealing with answers to the 3 basic questions. You said, I need to rescope this. Everybody rescopes their project during the academy. There's almost always. So that's a typical move. That's typically you say, you know what I'm focused on here for the learning aspect of this is I need to practice this at a smaller scale. Later on, as you get practice, you'll expand the scale of the scope of the work and projects you're working on. But right now, it's very good to work on a smaller scale because then you can practice it easily and also run tests within the space of a week or a few days. Anything else? Denise, you look like you're in deep thought there. Do I have something that's presenting that's concerning to you?
No, I'll go back to your comments and try to catch that up today. You just mentioned that when I get back, you want me to add the work in from the work I missed, and I'm just trying to mentally figure that out.
No, I meant just that one exercise is very, very important. We'll figure out how to catch you up with the other aspects of the course, but that's an important lesson to learn, especially given the things that we're talking about with your 3 basic question answers. That's an element of something that's actually a basic concept. Deming wrote a whole chapter about it, about what we'll be doing in an activity in his book, Out of the Crisis. It's a valuable concept. I just don't want you to miss out on it, that's all. So if what you could do is still verify your shipping address, because there's 3 sets of materials I'm sending you. The materials are going to show up there's an activity for Unit 2, Unit 3, and Unit 4. So each one has a different activity and some materials I'm going to send. But I'm going to send them all with this one shipment. So that's why I'm asking for your shipping address as well. So even if you don't have a partner and you're not going to be part of that particular exercise, please make sure you send me the information to say, here's where to send stuff.
Has Joe given you a partner yet at all?
I haven't seen a message from Joe yet either.
So you had said originally you wanted us to have 2, but now it's only 1. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah.
So for Joe, like, you don't want him to pretend that I'm here. We'll just do the exercise with me at a different point. So he just needs 1 person.
Yes, he just needs
Okay.
1 person. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I sent that message out to everybody saying, hey, we only need 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I
All right.
I saw the thing that said the dates, right? I just didn't know if if you wanted to facilitate it differently here, but that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so we have a few extra minutes that you have available to wrap up this work. I'm going to log off unless anybody has any questions or wants to talk with me about anything. Anybody want to stick around? Otherwise, you're welcome to say goodbye for the day, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 8.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.